Hello, poetry lovers. Tonight's video shows the creation of a new poem titled Thalassophobia. Stick around to the end of the video to see the complete first draft of this new poem. Thalassophobia is the fear of deep water, and what you're seeing tonight is supposed to be the first section of a much longer poem that explores that idea thematically. But I had a really rough time getting started with this. It's been a weird few months, and as we get closer to the end of the year, I'm feeling a lot of overwhelm. So it's honestly been a little difficult to make progress on this poem. See, when I was in graduate school, I wrote numerous poems like this one. My plan is for this to be a long piece with multiple disparate parts all connected by one overarching theme. I had the idea for this poem months ago in the summertime, and this first section was written just a month or so after I had the original idea. But my writing process on this has been stalled for months now as I try to get back around to the mindset and inspiration that I originally had. I started as usual by grounding the lines in the physical reality of a memory. I felt it was important to be as accurate as I could, and I wrote haltingly at the beginning, digging back into my mind for the details of this event from many years ago. When you're writing a long piece like this, every line needs to develop not just the story in this section, but the theme of the whole poem. So I chose every element carefully. Here, I pulled in the first portion of this memory that hinted at the deeper meaning this section explores. As I continued, I started breaking up the sentences more and more with dashes, commas, and periods. This was something I did instinctively at the time, but in retrospect, I think the fractured flow of the lines is really appropriate for this portion. I wanted the terror and trauma of this moment and the way images and sounds appear in disproportionate emphasis when remembered, both to be reflected in the sentences in this section. Because this is just a section of a longer piece, I allowed myself very few hints at the thematic concepts that will be important to the larger piece. Just as I wouldn't tell the ending of a novel in the first chapter, I wanted to focus strongly on the story itself instead of branching off too much into talking about what I want it to mean. But this is the first time I've ever waited so long between writing the sections of a long poem. In the past, I've always kept chipping away at it, usually in 1 hour-long writing session, so that unity was fairly easy to achieve. So looking ahead, I know that maintaining the same thematic drive throughout sections that will be written months apart may be one of my biggest challenges with this piece. I'm honestly not sure yet what the poem, once it's finished, will be about. Writing is a journey of discovery for me, and I'll find out what this piece means as I get closer to the end. But for now, here's the first section of Thalassophobia, written in about 20 minutes on September 7th, 2023. It was summer's hottest day. We all, church kids, had gathered at someone's muddy pond. Lake? The water stretched wide enough that shouts on one side were silenced before making shore. Each bank grew thick with reeds. There were a few dry trees. Some of us waded, canoed. Some, just me, stayed ashore, my two-piece named Too Skimpy by our leader. One boy, nobody now recalls his name or who invited him. One new boy swam far out. In the deep, lake weed grew thick and gripped his treading feet, clinging and dragging. He went under. And again. Nobody heard his gasping except one of ours, a gorgeous girl, who swam to him. He gripped her, used her head, her shoulders as buoys, pushing her down to raise himself. And again. Someone saw their struggle. We ran for help. A man dove to save them as she half drowned, dunked, and held under. After, he and she, stranger and savior, rested inside, slowly drying. She was still shaking. He thanked her for rescue, nearly her end. He praised her. His hand groped her knee, her thigh. When I came inside, he receded, but her eyes were deep and wide. She was still shaking. Thanks for watching this episode of Ars Poeticat. If you enjoyed watching poetry happen, please like and subscribe. Then go make some art.